Hey there, welcome back to Total Geek Baltimore Presents. I am Baltimore, and today I am bringing you X-Men Grand Design X-Tinction #1. That's this beautiful comic right here. I got a variant one of the issue. One with the head boxes, the corner boxes. I love them so much. They're so cool. So it's kind of a great little retro throwback for that. But this is the first and the last of the last mini-series for X-Men Grand Design by Ed Piskor. I've really been enjoying this series. It's been a great kind of retro dive into the X-Men universe from X-Men 1 to X-Men like 280-ish. So I've really been enjoying it. I think this has done I think he's done an amazing job kind of telling the story of the X-Men with a clear, concise narrative voice of an entire time period that consists of about almost 25, 30 years of continuity. So that's a lot of stuff to kind of figure out what's most important, how to put your own spin on it, and make the stories and subplots kind of follow through and make sense in one go of it. And I think he's done a great job on that. And I think his artwork, I think, has been very fun and interesting. I think it's very detailed in a way that, in particular, so at least it has all like one artistic style choice for the entire 6 issues. But I really do love this. I think it's really been great. So X-Men Grand Design X-Tinction #1 basically covers everything from around X-Men 1 like 99-ish to about 230-ish, 240 maybe of the issues of Uncanny X-Men. So it kind of talks about the combat fight between Cyclops and Storm, which is amazing to see them fight for the leadership of the X-Men, and how Madeline Pryor and their son, Nathan Christopher Summers, also known as Cable, factor into that actual fight. As it's been revealed later, Madeline kind of used her subconscious powers, abilities, to put the match into Storm's favor, because she wanted Cyclops to leave and be with her, and she knew that it wouldn't happen if he was still a leader of the X-Men, if Storm was there. So it's kind of interesting to see that kind of be a thing, and kind of be told in this in a way that kind of like gives you more depth to the original telling of it, which I really enjoy and appreciate. The other thing they kind of build up to is the Morlock Massacre, which is, so brutal, and it really, really profoundly affected the X-Men, and they were never really the same after that. The X-Men lineup at that time was Storm, Wolverine, Colossus, Shadowcat, Nightcrawler, Rogue, and Phoenix. And the Morlocks were the mutant outcasts who lived in the sewers underneath New York City. And the Marauders, led by Mr. Sinister, were pushed to go to the Morlocks and exterminate them, kill them out, completely destroy them, massacre them, in the hopes of getting to the actual X-Men. And it was brutal, and it had a lot of lasting effects throughout the entire X-Men universe, or Marvel universe. It's where Angel lost his wings, and that kind of precipitated. So that was really, really profoundly important. But what happens kind of before this in this telling is we see the call from the Fantastic Four headquarters to Scott Summers when he's with Madeline in Alaska, and he finds out that Jean Grey is actually alive, and it's that whole bombshell. And he doesn't tell Maddie. He leaves Maddie and Nathan to go see Jean Grey, his first love, who died and is now reborn. So it's a really, really powerful scene, and he does pretty good justice to it right here, to kind of give you the impact that it had. And of course, it drove Maddie into the arms of Mr. Sinister and Nashtir, who was a demon who gave her, her full powers as Goblin Queen. So it was really, really fascinating to kind of see that transformation and see them kind of work at each other. But the Mutant Massacre was really, really brutal. And it's the first time that Wolverine realizes that Jean Grey might be alive. But he doesn't tell any of his team members that at all, which is kind of. I've always felt it's a little out of character for him to keep a secret like that, especially from Storm and Nightcrawler and Colossus, who are really close to her. Um, but in the realm of comics kind of things, you gotta make more drama out of things. But the Mutant Massacre was really, really devastating. It left Nightcrawler, Colossus, Shadowcat all injured, and they put them into the Muir Island to kind of restore and rehabilitate and heal them. And the X-Men are left, with their numbers very much depleted, and they recruit Psylocke, who is Betsy Braddock, the twin sister to Captain Britain, who was a telepath. So she joins the X-Men. She's been hanging around with the New Mutants at the time, so she kind of just joins the senior team. And then you have Dazzler, who's been kind of possessed by malice at this time, and the X-Men save her because they realize the Marauders are going after all public mutants, and Dazzler is a very public mutant, and so the Marauders had been attacking her and using her through malice, which is a choker entity psionic manipulator. And so they save Dazzler and bring her to the team, and they've also bring in Longshot. Is not quite how it kind of revealed in the real continuity, but I think the choices here that Ed makes are better for the narrative. And then you have Havoc coming in, and that kind of interesting joining where he's always been kind of like a fringe character in the X-Men, very not wanting to be a part of them, willing to be a part if necessary. So this one, he comes into the fight, and then they realize that Malice is not taking over Dazzler anymore, but has now taken over Polaris, which is a really huge reveal because Malice possessed Polaris for probably a good almost 30 or 50 issues, 30 to 40 issues in the comics. So it was a pretty long time to be sacked with that possession. So it was really fascinating to see that kind of develop in here as well. Then you have them going to have Mystique come in and warn Rogue that she doesn't need to do what she's doing, that Destiny has foretold a very terrible thing that will happen in Dallas at the Freedom Tower, which is where Forge is living. Consequently, Storm has been there as well because she has no powers and she's trying to get them back. And she gets tricked by Naze, who is Forge's mentor. But what we find out later, is that he is actually being possessed by the adversary, which is the same villain that Forge used to battle back in Vietnam under the continuity telling. And he sacrificed 9 of his closest friends to stop the adversary from gaining entry into our world. And now they must do that again. And so the X-Men plus Colossus, who is kind of sort of healed up again from Muir Island, they all go to Dallas to stop this event from happening. Mystique is there with the Freedom Force. So they're all fighting against the demons that are, trying to infiltrate the world and trying to stop that whole mess from happening. And Forge realizes the only way he's going to be able to stop the adversary for the next time is to sacrifice 9 more people to satiate the adversary. And every single one of the X-Men agrees, plus Madeline. And their sacrifice is so pure and so heroic that they do stop the adversary, and after that, they are killed. And the X-Men are dead, and that's how everybody in the world sees it. There was video recording of it, and so everyone's responding, reacting to the X-Men actually dying. And then Roma, who is the Guardian of the Omniverse, brings the X-Men back to life and says that, you know what, you made the ultimate sacrifice. I'm giving you a life, a chance again to be reborn and do what you need to. And the X-Men decide that they will do that. However, they won't tell the rest of their friends and family that they're still alive, even though it's kind of challenging for some of them to accept. Storm, convinces them that if they are still perceived dead, they can strike out on their own and attack the enemies who aren't looking for them anymore. And it's a way to protect their families by keeping their death a secret. And so Roma restores them to life, gives them immunity from electronic surveillance and recordings, and sets them up in the Outback, which I think is probably one of my favorite kind of time periods for the X-Men. It's very fun. It's offbeat. It's about 20, 30 issues that they're actually there. But it's so much fun to kind of see that kind of group where you have some of the solid X-Men characters like Colossus and Storm and Wolverine, and then you have a whole slew of new characters that have never really been X-Men before: Psylocke, Longshot, Dazzler, along with some of the remaining Havoc and Rogue. So it's a great team lineup. It's very fun and interesting. And so they're set back in the Outback, and they take over a town that was being ruled over in the Outback by the Reavers, who are these cyborg, half men, half person, half cyborg characters who, steal things, terrorize, and they've basically wrapped Gateway, who is an Aboriginal mutant who can create dimensional rifts, and they've really trapped him and made him do his bidding. And the X-Men save Gateway, give the Reavers new life away, and take the town over. And one parting gift that the X-Men do get from Roma is the Siege Perilous, which is a device which allows anybody to walk through it to be judged by a higher power. And if you are found wanting, it will cast you back out in a new life, new memories, new everything. No memory of your past at all. So that's a pretty handy device to come in contact with. And that's kind of basically where we leave X-Men X-Tinction #1. I think it's really, really great to see them go at it. They have a big fight with Mr. Sinister, with X-Factor there. This is when they finally all realize that, the Jean's alive and the X-Men are reunited with X-Factor. And it's really kind of interesting to see that dynamics and see them kind of go through those motions and emotions and those character beats. I love the artwork. Some of it is not technically correct costumes. Like you have Rogue in her 90s outfit. You have Cyclops and Jean Grey in their 90s outfits, which is not actually when it would have happened. But you kind of just, let those things go. He's doing the book. He's doing it with, the visions he has of the characters. And if you just accept it and let it go, you're in for a good ride. So I do love Ed Piskor's work on this. I think it's really, really fantastic. The attention to detail is great. Like I said, I love these old, the actual paper feels, like paper you read when you were growing up. It was so old. I really loved it. Cannot wait for the very end, but I'm also kind of sad because that means it's over. But yes, you should definitely pick up X-Men Grand Design X-Tinction #1. It's a great comic. You'll enjoy it. If you've been reading the other ones, you're in for the treat for the rest of the story. So, as always, it's all geek to us. Like, subscribe, and share, and I'll be back with the very end of this one. Thanks a lot. Bye.